Hey, everybody, thanks for watching this week's episode. We want to promote where you can see us. For tickets, go to joegattoofficial.com to see all my tour dates. And for Steve's, go to punchup.live/Steve-Byrne. That's Byrne. He makes it super easy to find him. And now, on to the episode.
There was a problem, yo, I'll solve. Word to your mother.
All right, here we are with a brand new episode of Two Cool Moms. I am Joe Gatto.
I am Cameron.
No, your name is Duncan.
Yeah, that's I'm Steve Byrne. Yeah. One of our newest employee producers yes, is Cameron, and you called him Duncan.
With authority. Because I feel like that's the only way to guess a name.
Yeah, it's almost like I'll be Duncan if you'd like. Yeah.
Maybe I like saying it very, very like strong because you make them second guess their own name. He's like, wait, is my name? For a moment he went, is my name Duncan?
It could be. Cameron, could you just stand up and can we both just say the name you think he looks like?
I did.
But you say you thinking Duncan? He was behind the monitor. Oh,
okay.
You say Duncan?
Oh no, I say Ralph now.
Ralph. Yeah, he looks like a Ralph.
He looks like a Ralph.
Wow.
What do you think?
I would say Conrad.
Conrad, nice.
Yeah.
Like
seems
Birdie?
like an elevated name. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I would think Cameron has some elevation to it. You go by Cam. Well, if you go by Cam are two different people. You don't have a nickname because you're Steve or Steven.
Yeah,
Stevie's
the worst.
Stevie's terrible. Unless you're Van Sant, nobody wants it. Stevie? Well, Stevia, if you're sweetener.
Yeah. Oh,
you get a little aspartame up in you.
Joey's a classic.
Joseph, Joe, and Joey, three different people. Three different people.
It's like me, myself, and Irene.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, three different.
That's right.
Okay, so you are a Joe Gatto.
I'm a Joe Gatto, but I have all three. Did
modes.
You grow up
as a Joey?
Mode. I'm a Joey because my dad
was And then
was
you grew into a
Joe. And I was a Joseph.
You'll be a Joseph later in life.
Later in life, I'll be a Joseph.
Yeah.
Yes, when I retire and become an accountant. I take up the CPA exam and I become a Joseph.
I've got to ask you something. Hold on. I have to ask you this.
Please do.
Because I know you love to read. What is your favorite book?
My favorite book of all time?
Of all times. What is a book? I want to ask you two things.
Go.
What is a book you want to read?
Yep.
And what is a book that you have read that you love? Because for the record, I've sent Joe probably a dozen books.
Right.
And you're always like, I don't know why you sent me this shit. I'm never going to fucking read it.
No, and you bring them like carry-ons. Like you gift a book to me. Like,
well,
read The Room. or
At
watch
least
the movie version of it. Both great jokes. When I try to read The Room, it goes direct to DVD.
Okay.
My favorite book, Awakened by James S. Murray.
Okay.
And a book I want to read, what's his new one? You'll Never Get Out. You'll Never Touch Christmas. What is it? You better watch out. You better watch out by James Murray and Darren Weirmouth. I'm really excited about this stuff.
You'll never touch Christmas.
That's a great title. No, my favorite book growing up I think was Of Mice and Men.
Really? Wait, are you fucking with me? There isn't one book you read that are like, oh my God, that is a great book.
No, I'm going to be honest to you. I'm going to be honest with you. When I started creative writing, I had this thing that got in my head, and I don't know how. I'm talking early, like 14, 15 years old.
Yeah.
I wanted all my thoughts to be my own. So when I was writing stuff, I didn't want to write something that I read somewhere else. And for some reason that stuck in my head, which is so dumb, I know.
Yeah.
But for some reason I was like, I want all my stories to be my stories. So I stopped reading, which is true.
You just stopped reading?
I just really didn't read it unless I had to read it for high school. And honestly, I didn't read much of that anyway. My boy Cliff did, and he gave me the notes about it. And I didn't read much of that anyway. You know what I'm saying? Some kids are like, well, who's Cliff? Cliff Notes were back in the day, were a very popular medium to help.
Okay, I have to ask you, when was the last time you read a book?
Honestly?
Yeah.
A trade book I've read. I've read some books about photography. So I've read that.
Okay.
The last book I remember reading is
pleasure.
A Gentleman at the Table is a book I remember reading. And it was when I was developing my my gentleman skills of etiquette and being... I had this thing for a while where I didn't think there's enough gentlemen in the world, I felt.
Right.
So I was like, boys were growing up not to be gentlemanly, and I was like, I just wanted to, because my dad died at 19. He's dead. Thanks for bringing it up. And so I was always like I was always like obsessed with like how to grow into a man, I guess.
Right.
It's getting pretty deep here, and I'm thinking about a lot of things, bring up a lot of emotions. And you're laughing at me. Thank you. I'm being vulnerable.
No, because I see what you're doing.
What am I doing?
I see what you're doing. You set me up. Okay.
So I started reading books like that. I remember A Gentleman at the Table.
Okay.
I remember
What did you glean from Gentleman at the Table? Was there one resonant lesson?
I actually remember too that I just remember I gifted it to my nephews when they turned 18 too. Or I gave it to both my nephews.
So you liked it enough to give it?
I did. It was like, but it was one of those like short form books too, kind of thing, where it gave you like the headlines, broke it down, why, gave you a little bit of tradition and stuff like that. A Gentleman at the Table, I really remember like to call people by their name.
Right.
Duncan. And that's why, that was one of the things. It was like, if you call people by the name, don't call somebody in the, like if somebody's in the room, don't refer to them as he, as if they're not in the room. That was like a big thing. Make people feel present. That was a part of it. It's always to make people feel like, and I think you do this well just naturally. You might have read the book, I don't know. But I think you do that naturally where you make people feel included in the event that they're at. People just, I think that's a big part of it, making people feel comfortable in a room, which was a big part. That's the best way to be appreciated in a room, is that you make people feel like
But you do that naturally
I do
as well.
Yeah, well, I read a book about it. But no, I do think part of it is that. But I remember reading that, so I wonder if that's why. I wonder if that's why I do it.
I give you a compliment. Yeah, you're like, yeah, I read the book. Oh, shit, okay, I'm sorry,
Thank
man.
you, buddy. No. That's one of the books I remember reading, Gentleman at the Table.
How long ago was that?
Oh, a long time ago.
Okay.
I
So
mean, I haven't
the last
read a book. I haven't read a book in forever.
You don't find pleasure in reading a book. You don't think I'd love to learn more about that subject or that topic or that film.
I research. I will go on the internet. I'll read up on stuff.
Yeah.
Photography. When I was getting my cameras and stuff, I would do that. Digital photography.
Sure.
Editing. When I moved over to Adobe Premiere, I did a lot of reading on those kind of things.
Right.
So that technical stuff I'll read.
Right.
But as far as reading for pleasure, no, not for me.
Wow.
Book on the beach. You're big on book on a plane. I look over you, we're on a flight together. You're
My
like,
favorite.
Here he goes. He's reading about. Did you read this book about Frank
It's called The Art of the Deal.
That's right. Did you read The Art of the Deal?
It's an amazing book, Joe, and I'm glad you brought it up. It's a fantastic. They say.
Listen closely. You can hear everybody turning off the podcast.
After the Bible, it's the second greatest book ever. That's what I've heard.
Did you really read it?
No.
I would have loved. You have to read it just for the joke now.
No, Donald Trump just worked at McDonald's for a day.
Yep.
And he's writing his next book called
The Art of the Meal.
Wait, there it is.
I think that is hilarious. That dude worked at McDonald's for a day.
Crazy. I mean, that's the world we live in right now. But you read, like, when you go to now, how do you purchase books? Do you like going to a bookstore, or do you get recommendations from people?
Joe, I walk into a bookstore and the book finds me.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. There's topics I like. I like to go to the bookstore. I like to just peruse, and then I see a title. I'm like, well, that's interesting. And then
Did you read Where's Barry? My book?
Yes.
Is that your favorite book?
Is that my favorite?
My book for 48-year-olds. Is that your favorite? It's a picture book.
If that was my favorite book, I'd be licking a hot pan right now. I mean, it's a great book, though.
Yeah,
it's a very good book. I think it's a great lesson. My son burned through it pretty quickly, and he liked it.
He's smart, your boy.
Yeah,
whip that kid.
But I like that it's not just. I wish my kids were younger because I would read that book. That would be a book.
Yeah. Because
I think when you have a kid, there's maybe 4 or 5 that are always in the rotation. Mm-hmm. All the places you'll go. BJ Novak wrote a great one, The Book with No Pictures. Mm-hmm. It's so good, and my kids love that book.
Really?
I couldn't recommend it highly enough. I think I bought it. I got it for you. Yeah.
For Mark, for himself. Did you enjoy it, Mark?
I did. It's at my reading level.
You should get him The Art of the Gentleman because he never said thank you.
Yeah.
Anyways, or gentleman at the table.
A gentleman at the microphone.
Gentleman at the microphone. But
I'm having issues
I
with
think
this
those.
mic stand.
I wish my I wish that was a book like my son read it. He was a little older, but he's like, oh, I like it.
Yeah.
But he just turned 9.
Yeah, I know.
But
well, he just had a birthday.
Just had a birthday. Yeah.
That's how it happens. That comes every year.
Sorry.
That comes every year. His birthday.
It happens. Yeah. Just like October.
Is that your birthday? Oh, October. I got to sing at her. Yeah. Oh. Got it. She's like, I don't care. I don't even listen to you guys.
She's on LinkedIn right now finding a new job.
Oh, I love it. Do you like enjoy reading at bedtime before you go to sleep? Does it make you sleepy nights?
I'd love to, but my wife is always asleep before me.
Oh, so you read loudly. Why would that be an issue? That your wife is asleep before you?
Well, I can't go in and then turn on the lights and wake her up.
He
so
opens the book. He's like, he entered the room. She's like, shh.
To be
or not.
Or not to be. Steve, please.
I love that. I read about Greek mythology because I was obsessed with that for a minute.
When
I was 20.
Joe.
Nothing recent. All this stuff is old. I'm just remembering stuff.
Really? But I don't know. I'm not saying you should.
No, I probably should.
I'm not saying you shouldn't.
I know I should.
But I'm saying it's a healthy distraction.
Yeah, I guess for people that are on the road all the time too, like us, we have the downtime of the bus or the planes or whatever. But I'm not into it. You do a lot of things that you make time for. Like you watch a lot of documentaries, right? You're a very studied man. I mean this, I'm being serious here. You're a very studied fellow, okay? You read a lot. You're big into docs.
Yeah.
Right? You love a good doc. You are, you also, what's your other hobbies? You build Legos, don't you?
No, my son builds Legos, right. But I get the bricks for him.
Got it, you do. But those two things are very time-consuming things, to read books.
But you know what it is, though? It's that I said to myself, I'm saying it right now.
Yes.
You can't hear it.
I can't hear it.
So
it's like when you read at night.
That is hilarious. I said, instead of being on my phone, like put it away and bring a book with you and force yourself to look, I've always enjoyed reading. My father is a big book guy.
Again,
so
your live father.
Maybe I get it from him. But when I sit on the plane, I'm like, all right, I'm not going to get on my phone because I can do that anytime. Let me dedicate this time to reading a book. So when I'm on a flight, I'll read for about 20, 30 minutes. Sometimes I can't sleep and I'll just read the whole time.
That was the other thing. You're right. That was the other one. You're right. Like you write screenplays and things, right? So that's another time-consuming thing. So I'm just wondering. So you basically ignore your family when you're home. So you're just basically I'm sorry, I'm reading. Get out. You know.
No, I get it all out when I'm on the road. So when I'm home, I'm just like totally with them. But I'll tell you this. It's interesting. I was going back to read one of the screenplays and I came up with an idea. I had an idea. I'm sure they bubble up for you too, where you'll just walk around, you go, oh, that'd be great. And then you start to format it, right? And I realized my brother's the kind of guy that, remember one time for Thanksgiving, we just bought a new condo or whatever in Chicago, and the water heater went out on Thanksgiving and everybody's at my place.
Oh no.
He knew how the wiring worked. And he was like, oh, I just need to do that and that. And he figured it out. We didn't have to call anybody. It's Thanksgiving. He saved the day. We have hot water on Thanksgiving. He knows exactly, like I could pop the thing off and I have no idea how any of that works. He never went to school for it. He doesn't, like for the first time in my life, when I read Save the Cat and I understood format of screenplay, I was like, like when that in The Hangover when, Zach Galifianakis is doing all the
it was Beautiful Mind.
That was it for me where I was like, holy shit, I know exactly how to do this. I know all the intricacies, I know foundation. All of a sudden it just started coming to me. And so I had this idea the other day. I was walking and I was like in a mall and I saw these mall walkers, right?
Yeah, love them.
I go, oh, there's some old guys walking around the mall. And I was like, I wonder how he got there. You know, the one guy looked kind of fit and I was eating lunch. And I saw these guys make 2 or 3 laps. I'm thinking, boy, that'd be kind of cool if it was like 2 Army vets, like maybe one lost his wife, the other guy is healthy. He's like, let's do something. So they mall walk, and then they've got to and then while they're on patrol or whatever, just walking around, you know, they talk about how they're out of the action, et cetera, how cool it would be if like these guys saw the beginning of something. Maybe it's a terrorist act, maybe it's a heist or whatever. And then all of a sudden, these two guys who are retired that served in the military together bring down this heist while this mall is in lockdown or whatever. So it's kind of like Die Hard, but for like mall walkers, right?
Yeah.
And then that happens.
Walk
and
hard.
But I was just thinking, that's a fun, but then all of a sudden the algorithm comes to me and I'm like, well, you need to do that. You need to set it up. What's the inspiration? What's the theme? What's the purpose of this? And then what's your midpoint? I just started like detailing it all. And within 15 minutes, I was like, oh, I think I have a film, but it's only because like I understood that algorithm. Somebody could pop the hood of a car and just understand all the inner workings, the exhaust, the engine, and the pistons, and they know. Like I don't know any of that, but that's the one thing where I was like, narrative, I really appreciate. I really understand it, and it's the one thing that came to me later in life where I was like, fuck, I know how to do this. Pretty wild.
That your brain could do that without even having any formal training. You didn't school for that, right? You read it. You read books about it, right? You read stuff about it, so you kind of self-taught, if you will.
Just like photography, I was like, I read Save the Cat. I was like, that's great, and then I wanted to go deeper and deeper and deeper. So the more books I read on storytelling, there's more kind of like collegiate versions of it. But Save the Cat for me,
those aren't for you. The collegiate versions, that's not for you. You have a level. We all have a place where we have to stop. So that's it. That's
just give me flashcards.
Yeah. We can do the book with no pictures. You're good.
But the same thing. I mean, you've written quite a few.
Yeah.
And I've had the pleasure of reading 2 of them, I believe.
It's funny because I sent you 4. Just mugs to the camera.
Are you dead? You're like, what are you looking at? He's already doing edits. How did you learn then?
I didn't really. I just started writing. Well, I actually wrote my first feature script. I actually had a co-writer who taught me a lot.
Yeah.
Josh was a great partner in that he helped me understand. Like I told him the story over a couple of Zooms. We talked it out, then we started writing it. And I had written scripts before,
right? But
never really a screenplay. So when I wrote my heist movie script, he really helped me like with that, and also taught me along the way. He's written many, so it was nice to have somebody like that. And then my second one I did on my own, and just took a lot of that. And first I wrote out the story, and then I was like, okay, let me go back and rewrite it correctly,
right?
And then you dive in and you find what you need to do, and from the technical stuff of you gotta what is this location to also like set the scene, things like that, So, but I enjoy it. Is another new format for me. So
it's damn fun to escape.
Yeah.
Like when I give myself that moment to go, all right, let's figure this out. When I'm on the road for the next 6 to 8 weeks, I'm going to love going to my room and just sitting there and banging through for like 8 hours a day or whatever. I don't know. For me, it's just, it's one of the, it's just like, I guess some people build a model airplane or whatever. You're just sitting there and you're like, it's all coming together. It's like, wow, this is exciting. It's a lot of fun.
You said your dad read, did your mom or dad write?
No, my father kind of wrote here and there, but nothing professional or
my grandfather was a writer, and I actually finished a story he had. He had this story, it was called the Diary of Dr. James Hugo. Yeah. And my mom, after he passed away, found the first 3 chapters of this short story. And I ended up, I sat on it for years, and then I found it again after my mom died. I took all the stuff she had, and I had my grandfather's story. And I reread it, and it was when I was writing, I was like, you know what, I'm going to finish my grandfather's story. Right. So the first 3 chapters written by him, and then the last chapter is written by me, which I thought was really cool. Wow. I got to send it to you. It's really good.
When you pass away and you go to heaven, and your grandfather greets you, he's like, you fucked it up. Would that upset you? Why would you touch a work of art? That's not yours to touch.
But he didn't he had an unfinished story. He's like, listen, he just smacks me. He's like, get out.
But that's pretty awesome.
It was pretty cool, yeah.
And you finished it, and then who'd you?
So I self-published it.
Did you really?
No, it only was like.
Hold on, were you a ghostwriter?
No, my grandfather was because he was dead.
That's my point.
So he was the ghostwriter. You almost had it. He would be the ghostwriter, not me, you dope. You fucking, he's the dead one. I'm not the ghost. He's a ghostwriter, Scooby-Doo.
Okay.
So
all right.
I think the mask off. Zoinks!
Hey, Scoob.
I think the mask off. I'm your son. It was fun. I got to give it to you. But I did put that on myself to finish his story. And I thought that was cool. That was a cool experience. And I have a couple half-written things that I'm going to leave to you in my will. I want you to finish my stories.
Well, should we get into it? This is Two Cool
Sure.
Moms.
This
We
is Two
help
Cool
you
Moms.
with your problems, your issues, your queries, anything. It could be trivial. It could be personal.
Yeah.
It could be.
You need help, and that's why we're here. It's not like, what do you like,
needs
a
help.
breakfast cereal? No, it's not that. It's like, what's the best book you ever read? We already covered that. So now we get into the dirt, as they call it.
Yeah, you want directions? You want me to lift the hood? I can go as hard or I can go as hard or as light as you want.
So where do we find these queries that people need help with? Who do we go to?
Cheeky Cam. So people can reach us on the email, twocoolmomspod@gmail.com, or on the Instagram, twocoolmomspod. So we have one. This one's going to be directed right at Steve. Coming at us, direct question from RJM. Says, please help. I'm so hungover.
Well,
Let's go. Let's go to the
The
professional.
3-hour episode starts now.
a very special Two Cool Moms. If you're hungover, see, this is the great thing about our job is that we can sleep it in. We can just sit in the hotel room all day and nurse it off, and that is my favorite thing to do. I absolutely love it. But hydrate. You've got to force yourself to drink a ton of water. Eat something greasy.
Yeah, right. They say that, right?
Yeah, it's the best. And then just give yourself the time to just lay down and nurse it out and go, I'll never do that again, knowing a week later you'll do it again. Yeah.
I remember I saw you
bad as it is.
hungover once, particularly. You came down. We were going to drive the next day, and you came down. Your hood was up and like closed, and you got in the car, and you didn't sit in the car. You just opened the door and just fell in sideways, put your feet in and shut it, and you just laid in the back. And me and Mark drove to where we were driving.
My body was like Santa's bag.
And I think
It just dropped.
I
and
think we
collapsed.
kept on putting on at night. I see we. What is that one?
I want to be your baby.
In the rain is on. I'll be your call. Boo, boo thing, right? Boo.
It's not food thing, but
My
might as
boo?
well be.
My boo.
My boo.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think of you. And you were like, stop it.
Please, anything but this.
Yeah.
Hangover when it's earned, when it's really like well earned, it sucks. But you also kind of like, at least I like to wear it as a badge of honor. Like
Yeah.
I earned this.
I
I did this to
me.
myself.
Yep.
This is horrible. It's all self-inflicted. And
But
you're
wow,
gonna
what
pay
a
for
night.
it, but I'll tell you what, I had a fucking wonderful time.
All right. I wonder where hangover comes from.
I think it's the sugar in the alcohols.
The sugar hangs over in your body.
Yeah, like you can't digest it.
Is that that's what you're gonna go with? If you
You're completely dehydrated. It's a confluence of many things, but you're completely dehydrated.
no, but the term
Oh, the
Oh,
term
where does it
hangover?
come over? Where does that term
hangover.
come from?
Don't Google yet.
Oh,
I think it's like the hangout is over.
The hangout's over. The hang's over.
It
But
hangs over.
It's over.
that does not sound right, but also sounds correct at the same time.
It does, yeah.
Hangover. I think the effects of hungover, like you're hungover, so you got the effects of the fun times, but the fun times are over. What do you think hangover comes from?
Where do I think it comes
Yeah.
from? I don't know. That does not sound right. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
I think you just feel like you're hung out to dry.
Hung over the railing.
Yeah.
hung out to dry.
Hung out to
Yeah.
dry. All right, what do you got? What,
I didn't look it up.
okay.
We got
Oh, we
it?
have a go.
There's multiple meanings. Unfinished business.
You're not mic'd at all. though.
Unfinished business.
So you got to say what you're saying.
Okay, so unfinished business. A movie franchise. No. Wait, where'd you see this? Where is it?
I had a whole list. Oh, sorry, my brain.
Oh, I see. Okay, unfinished business, After effects of alcohol,
No, I know
emotional
the
letdown,
term.
undesirable. I think it comes from the 1890s. The earliest known use of the known hangover is in the 1890s.
Okay.
In an illustrated monthly magazine of recreation, the word hangover is a derivative.
Jesus Christ, Mark.
Deviation of the words hanging over. I know that.
He's yelling at the computer.
This is bad. This is like, the Google AI is supposed to know everything. It says the hangover is put together from the words hanging over.
All right, great. I'm glad we got to the bottom
We got
of
the
it.
bottom
Jig
of
is
that
like,
one.
it's a derivative. It comes from.
I'll do my own AI on this.
All right.
Okay.
But I'll tell you, the greatest cure for a hangover is getting ahead of it. Alcohol armor. This stuff called
That's right. You
alcohol
love
armor.
that stuff.
I use it. I swear by it. I bring it with me to Vegas. You have a little shot ski of it before you start. It's like a little fruit shot.
Yep.
And then I put 2 by my toothbrush. So I know when I come home, pound these, and that's it. And I wake up and I don't feel horrible. I don't feel bad at all. And I'm telling you, I couldn't recommend it highly enough. I think, I don't know where you get
I
it.
remember you dispersing them at a place we were together, and you would look like you had like a trench coat full of them. You're like, come here, come with me in the bathroom. I'll show you.
Vegas, I think I was in Vegas. They used
was
to have
Vegas.
they used to have hangover patches when I was in college. You get at the gas station. I'm pretty sure I have a twitch from that. But you'd put on the patch before you would start
Yeah.
drinking, and it was supposed to like cure the hangover. But I don't
Did it
know.
ever slightly even?
I just
No.
thought it was fun. Like we all the whole crew would put them on together, and I don't know if it ever
He would
worked.
be
I don't
like,
think-
boys, let's patch up.
we're patching up. I got the patch. I
White
think that
Castle is probably the greatest.
That's
cure
probably
for a
it.
hangover.
That's a cure.
I think that's what he
That
wanted.
should be their whole ad campaign.
100%. They should open from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. and that's
That's
it.
it. Hungover
Just like,
Castle.
we're here for you. We're here to nurse you back to health. Nobody should be here.
Come hang over at the castle. See what I'm saying? All right. So I think we answered that for that fella.
For sure. Dylan hits us up on the Instagram. Okay, so it's a kind of a hypothetical, but he needs help. I think he's in this situation. You see an attractive girl sitting outside their class waiting for it to start. What do you say to her?
Oh, so he's looking how do you break the ice with someone you find attractive?
It's an icebreaker, but it's also a school setting, so maybe you have some common ground there.
What's the latest book you read?
There you
Boom,
go.
it writes itself. I mean, that's easy. It's so hard not to be creepy. It's so hard. Like, what do you say? First of all, don't sit there and watch somebody. You fucking creep. Like, what are you doing? Like, don't say. Hopefully, she'll look at you and you'll be staring at her wide-eyed. Yeah, that's tough. That's always comes off. There's a creep factor, dude. The one-on-one approach always feels a little odd to me. I'm way more comfortable when there's a group of people.
Yeah,
Going into a group. I don't mind one. When I say a group of people, I don't mind infiltrating a group of people. I don't have to be with a group. But when it's one-on-one, that's always felt a little bit harder for me.
the social setting
Yeah.
dictates a lot.
A
Like
lot.
if you're in a bar, well, yeah, it's easy to talk to somebody. If you're in a coffee shop, it's
Yeah.
kind of creepy. Grocery store is like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
to me?
get away from me. I'm
But
trying.
a
I'm
school
working up this
setting,
list.
it's like, I don't know. That's a tough one to pull.
Yeah.
Unless you're in the class. But look, if you're on campus with her, you're going to see her at some point.
Right.
Hopefully.
Well, this guy's
There's only so
he's
many-
clearly following her.
You make me drool.
Where? Do you want me to walk into your house? I know how to get there. Ratio. What are you doing here?
I know
Duncan?
it's in your fridge.
Yeah, I know. I would say the easiest thing is to find the common ground, right? You're both at the university or whatever.
Yeah.
You will make it school based, just to break the ice and say hello or talk about something. How do you get to this hall? Or did you hear of Dr. Ferbinshirtz? Like is he a good psychology teacher? Like she doesn't know about Ferbinshirtz. You just ask him, like, listen, I'm thinking about taking intro to psychology with Ferbinshirtz. Have you ever taken it with Dr. Ferbinshirtz? He's like, I never heard of Dr. Ferbinshirtz. And you can be like, yeah, I heard Ferbinshirtz is killer. And then there you go. You're already having a conversation, right? That worked pretty well, I think.
I think that's pretty good.
Not a bad way
I want to follow up.
Ferbinshirtz.
I want to follow up from this person. Who was it?
This
I
is
want
Dylan.
Dylan. Look at me. I want you to go up to him and say, "Hey, did you ever take Dr. Ferbinshirtz for psychology?" And I want to know if it worked.
Say that name. If it doesn't get a laugh,
Yeah.
it's so blatantly made up. It's hilarious. Ferbinshirtz. Are you in the class with
But he's
Dr.
a doctor.
Ferbinshirtz? It's like, what the fuck are
You
talking
taking
about?
Ferbinshirtz?
But imagine this. Imagine you go up to a girl and go, are you in that class with Dr. Ferbinshirtz? She's like, that doesn't even sound like a real name. It's like, it's not. I listened to a podcast and I was curious how to maybe break the ice talking to you.
Nice.
And Joe Gatto from Practical Jokers wrote me back and said in the podcast, go up and say this.
That's
the
an icebreaker. There it is. You're welcome.
Compact
You're
it a
welcome,
bit
Dylan.
more, but yeah.
I want to see that.
Whew, Ferbinshirtz.
Dr. Ferbinshirtz. PhD. Spell Ferbinshirtz.
Ferbinshirtz?
Yeah.
Ferben, BINSHIRTZ.
Close.
It's fucking hilarious.
So close.
Oh my God.
You got the next one, buddy?
Okay, all right. Next question.
I love making you laugh.
That is so goddamn fucking. Okay, I'm sorry. Good.
Don't try to drink. You're going to choke out.
I know. All right, sorry. Good.
All right, the next question comes from Bozo.
He's got the guineas.
Okay. The next question.
Mark's trying to keep us on track here.
All right, I'm sorry.
Guys, seriously, the next question comes from Bozo.
Got him.
No, I saw you.
You saw me loading up.
And then I took the sip. You're like, close. I'm like, I'm not going to do it. All right, sorry. Good, I'm ready.
Okay.
I love you.
Hey, Bozo asks.
Excuse me?
Bozo.
Next,
Is this real?
the next question comes from Bozo.
Okay.
This is off the rails.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
God, they couldn't get through it.
Okay. Bozo asks, what advice? It was an email. What advice do you have? What advice do you have for someone who struggles?
When getting a question out?
Who struggles with maintaining interesting and flowing conversations with people, especially strangers?
Bozo asks. So how do you you're gonna have to read it again.
How do you
Okay,
maintain?
I'm sorry.
How do you maintain?
How do you
Are you having a stroke, Jiggy? Are you
I know,
okay?
I just think it's so funny. Okay. What advice do you have for someone who struggles with maintaining interesting and flowing conversations?
Why are you mad at us? He got mad at us about it. He's like, why?
I'm mad at myself. I got it.
Okay.
What advice do you have for someone who struggles?
Look how hard he's concentrating. Look at he won't even look up. He's so mad at himself.
I'm digging my hands. I got it. Maintaining interesting and flowing conversations with people, especially strangers.
This is clearly not the podcast to ask that question because we can't even get the question out.
Jesus, Mark.
I would say so the question from Bozo was how do you maintain and flow conversation naturally with strangers?
With strangers.
Got it. Okay, so first of all, don't go by Bozo. Talking to strangers is never a hard thing for me.
Okay, introduce yourself as Duncan.
Duncan, yes, it was Duncan Ferbinshirtz. I think Dr. Duncan Ferbinshirtz, PhD. His email's Bozo.
Please don't call me Dr. Duncan Ferbinshirtz. It's Bozo. hotmail.net.
I never had a problem talking to strangers. I will say they're the easiest people to talk to because you don't know anything about them.
Yeah.
So there's a delicate balance between it turning into an interview.
Right.
Right. Because you don't know anything about them. So I think you need to try to find common ground to talk about. So it's an ebb and a flow of kind of like, oh, blah, blah, blah. What are you into? You know, these kind of things. But then revealing a little bit of yourself and not just always interviewing a person. That's the biggest pitfall for me when talking to strangers. It turns into an interview with people.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You have to reveal a little bit more of yourself because then it's just like when you just ask them the question, they don't want to ask the same question back to you.
Right.
You want to reveal a little bit about yourself, I think.
Yeah, I think I give myself 3 questions.
Okay.
I'm like, where you from? What do you do? Boom. And if you don't get anything back, it's like, all right,
That's
I'm out.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So your perspective when a stranger's talking to you,
Yeah.
you got to feel like they're
or anybody.
Yeah.
Or Theo Vaughn.
You enjoy talking to strangers?
No.
You don't, right?
No. That's why I don't like talking to.
What's your name again? It's Mark.
Sure. No. When I'm on a plane, like I think that's the perfect
plane
opportunity.
conversation is the worst.
I literally get on, I get the book out,
Yeah.
I got the earbuds in. I couldn't communicate.
We get it. You
more.
read. Oh God, you're
But I
smart.
don't want to have I just like,
Is there anybody worse on earth than to try to strike up a conversation on a transatlantic flight with you? It's the worst. When people try to talk
Yeah.
to you on the plane,
yeah, please.
Everybody knows nobody wants to talk to anybody on the plane.
Nobody.
You know? And the entry points are always so weird. Like, what you reading? Well, you read the title. You can see the title. That's what I'm reading.
It's on the book.
Yeah,
It's
there
on
you
the
go.
page. You've been staring at it the whole time. The worst is when I always have a window seat
Of course.
and you hear, ladies and gentlemen, if you look out the left side of the window, you can see Manhattan. And then just like you get 2 heads coming in here and then the phones and everything. You're just like, fuck me.
So do you let little kids look out the window?
Oh, kids carte blanche,
All the
whatever a
time.
kid
Yeah,
wants.
They can
Yeah.
do it, right. But
Baby cries. It's like, what are you going to do? I get it.
I had a full-blown adult ask me to, be like, sorry, I just want to look out the window. I was like, okay. They'd never seen Manhattan.
Yeah.
And then we're way past Manhattan.
Yeah.
And they're still with the head at the window. And I'm like, what are you looking at? Are you stuck? Are you comfortable? Like, what was it? Their face just plastered to the window as like almost to the landing. And I literally had to go, okay. I had to be like, all right, that's enough. And I was like, Mark, move over.
No, it's called karma.
Karma.
All the times you do stuff
Sure.
like that to people.
Sure. You're right. It comes back to get you. Oh, you missed a great pratfall this weekend. Oh, there was a wet floor sign on a carpet. Right? We were going through
On a
what
carpet?
airport? What airport?
Norfolk.
Norfolk, Virginia. We're walking through the airport. It was a wet floor cone in Norfolk, Virginia
On the
airport.
carpet?
On the carpet. There was carpet. It said wet. The cone said
Yeah.
wet floor. Took it out, rolled over, rolled back. But there was people around me, and what I did on this
Did it
one.
Ricky Henderson?
Because it was carpet. I just kept rolling, and I had my backpack on, so my backpack made me go up, and I go, and I rolled like 4 or 5 times, and I just kept rolling. So
Do you ever videotape these things?
no, it happened.
I didn't know. This one happened very quickly. And like he got up, he goes, I broke my glasses. Worth it. Worth it.
For a laugh, just for you.
Yeah, my glasses were in my pocket. I broke them,
Oh.
but it was fun.
The best was that airport with that businessman.
Oh yeah,
And
I
you-
basically stole his luggage.
Stole his luggage, rolled out, and then like threw it. And he's still, his hand was still out from the carry-on. He was like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, I thought of you. I did. All right, I think we answered the socially awkward. No,
Yeah. And we have time for one more.
give us one more, Mark.
Okay. Matthew asked, got divorced a year ago. Been a fun year doing a lot of things each
Whoa,
month.
that means.
We read between the lines there, Matthew.
Gotcha, Matt. Kicking a few tires. I like it.
But I feel like I have not done a big something. If I do pull the trigger and move just for fun or do something else big in my life, I'm 33 and I'm not like those 20-year-old dudes where I can just say F it. He's looking for, I guess what he's trying to say is he's looking to do something big in his new post-divorced life. Any suggestions?
I wouldn't say move.
That seems pretty big. Yeah.
Move seems more like you're gonna uproot your life.
Yeah, take a trip.
Take a trip. When I went through my separation, I went to Alaska, and I felt I wanted to do something I'd never done. So I went to Alaska.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool, just to go and clear your mind and whatnot. I think getting out of your environment helps. train your thoughts, but to uproot yourself. Unless, I mean, I'm going to just say one other thing to retract there. To suggest should I move makes me feel like you want to move, right? Like why I never thought that. Probably doesn't have kids too. If you're saying that, you know,
It doesn't sound like it.
It doesn't sound like it, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like a move is like you're gonna leave everything behind. If you want a true fresh start, that might be what you're looking to do. I mean, maybe skydive, do something that's outside your nature.
Yeah.
You're right. What was the face?
No, it's like maybe I'll just uproot my life and like go to a new city and find a new job and meet new friends. Or I'll skydive. Or just jump out of a plane.
Right. It's gonna be one of those two for sure. It's gonna be one
Yeah.
of those two. Yeah. So I mean, there's levels to big. I mean, but there's also repercussions to your thought, right? You got to be. Yeah. If you decide to move, you're leaving everybody and everything behind because it didn't work out with your one person. That seems like you're running from something.
Yeah, but it is also kind of, I don't know. I do like having lived in New York City, having lived in Los Angeles, having lived in Chicago, living now in Nashville. Like every time was a new set of obstacles, and I think you just keep chiseling your identity and you get closer to who you are, what you'll accept, what you're driving towards, making new goals.
But you always had a partner in those moves. Well, how many times did you move? Twice, right? L.A. Oh no, L.A. is where you met. L.A. then Nashville. That was the only two places you guys lived together.
Yeah, it was Chicago.
Chicago. So
Yeah, but you know,
to do it by yourself, I think it's a little different.
Yeah, but to go from college in Ohio to go to New York City
Yeah,
and
that's
live
big.
there, that's pretty big. And then go from New York City to Los Angeles. I mean, those are two completely different worlds.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think there's, I don't know. It depends what it is. You know, I'd have to know more, obviously.
What do you think's in between uproot and move and skydive? Like what do you think? Because skydive is is an adventure thing, right? You do that, right? That's something completely different. But like, what would be something that's not as big as like moving and uprooting and doing everything, but bigger than just like go for a skydive? What would it be like? Get a new job if you don't like your job, or make a career change in the same city?
Changing your sexual identity?
A haircut. Same difference, right? You can do that too. Talk about a haircut.
Did we say that at the same time? You could transition from man to woman. You're like haircut.
The same term, two different terms.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think. Look, why go extreme?
Yeah,
Start off small, inch your way there.
you could always level up.
Always level
Level
up.
up. You could level up. Like you could say, I start here. But if you do something big and move, and you're like, what am I doing? You can regret it instantly. I would also just say, take a breath, take a beat. A year is not that long. A year is not that long.
No,
It might feel like long. It's not that long at all in the big scheme of things. You're just settling into this new skin of being, getting out in town, tearing it up.
Yeah.
You're going through your phases. So I would say take a beat before you do
But
anything.
I like the idea of like a solo trip.
Solo trip's great.
Yeah, like you went to Alaska, go to a solo trip and say, okay, I'm going to blow it out. You go to New Orleans, you go to Vegas. I'm going to go take it easy.
Yep.
Go to someplace like Utah
Get a
or
cabin,
Boise.
right?
And yeah, just get some hiking in, find those classes where you can go like rock climbing with a group of different people.
Skydive. Right?
You are.
I'm telling you. I want this guy to go skydiving.
Have you sky
Never
dived?
skydove. It's been ruined for
Skydove?
me twice. Once, my mother said you can't do it while I'm alive. Then we all know she's dead. Thanks for bringing it up. When she died, my wife said you can't skydive. So now I got to wait for my wife to die. and then my daughter will be like, you can't do it while I'm alive. It'll be done. Yeah, they're gonna be my
Write
daughter.
3 chapters of a book and then go skydiving.
And that's all the time we
There we
have.
go.
Nice. Well
Ending
done,
on a
everybody.
dismount.
Thank you so much for joining us. We are the Two Cool Moms. We love you guys.
Yes.
And please, thanks for listening. Subscribe, like, share, and come back next time where we'll be discussing more ways
to skydive.
to skydive.
Yeah. But we're also on tour. You can keep up with us.
Yes.
All my tour dates are at punchuplive.com/Steve Byrne. Or just go to punchup and Steve Byrne. That's it. You'll find
Go
it.
punch up Steve Byrne.
You go punch me up.
Yeah, and I'm JoeGattoOfficial.com. Thanks so much, guys.
These mommies love you, so show us some love.
Please rate us and review us. Follow us on all social media and subscribe to our YouTube.